Well, it's pretty windy, guys. I can't walk and talk, so we're gonna have to sit in the truck for this video. I want to talk about the shooter and some common sense ideas. Everybody's up in arms. They're all yelling the Republicans won't pass these laws. This would prevent shooters and all this stuff they're saying. I find it amazing how we blame our officials when people go off on a shooting range. We want our senators and the people we vote for to keep us safe. I'm afraid this is not an issue about senators or presidents keeping us safe. It is your fault. It is our fault. Let me explain. I need a license to drive my truck, right? You need a license to become a doctor. You need a diploma. You need credentials to do a lot of things in our lives. But you don't need a license to have a child. You can be a crackhead. You can pop up kids. You can be a person that cannot support kids, and you can have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids. Yet you don't have a dime to raise them. You would think a woman would have common sense after having 2 kids that I don't have enough money to support them, so I'm not going to keep having, but it doesn't matter. I see a bunch of hoodlums sitting on a front lawn smoking dope. Mother comes out and yells at them, and nobody says nothing. We've all got them in our neighborhoods. I've seen 16-year-olds driving down the road with no license, no insurance, and driving their parents' car, and their parents don't have insurance because they're super poor. So, is it right to say that the 18-year-old shooting that just happened, or the Buffalo one, was because of the parents' fault? Now, we all want to do blame too, so understand something here. This is not about blame. I believe we could almost remove shootings if we admit that not everybody's perfect when they're being raised. If we believe not all parents are good parents, if we believe some parents need help. Some people say it takes a tribe to raise a child. So let's look at the root of the problem and let's go back. We all would probably say this child was mental, but that's a pretty cop-out answer. I even see people saying we need insane asylums to come back, which Ronald Reagan took out. Believe it or not, because anybody could have said you were nuts, stuck a bunch of drugs in your arms, made you a zombie, and stuck you inside the hospital and left you there. A lot of rich people did this to people. I mean, until that was removed and you were given your rights. You don't want that. So, how do we prevent these shootings? Well, we have to look at them. They were young. They were 18 years old. They were like a week away from graduation. I mean, when you're in high school, those 4 years, you believe it's the end of the world. You don't think there's a life after that. You think, oh my God, I'm being bullied. This is never going to end. I mean, people hate me. I mean, when you put all this negativeness into your brain at that age, you're very, very impressionable. You don't know that when it ends, you come out and your life changes because you're not in high school no more. And if they actually want to look at the root of the problem, then remove high school and do homeschooling. And put it all on the parents. Change everything in the computer training. If parents want their kids to hang out with other kids, then have different programs. But that would definitely remove the bullying because you're removing the child from the element. But then some people would say the kid doesn't really associate with their kids and learn these type of skills. But yet, I've seen kids do homeschooling with their parents. They're a little awkward, I've noticed, but they seem to do okay in life. So, how do we put an end to this? We tell all people, that's it. You got to have a license to have a kid. You know, you don't make enough money, you can't have a kid. It's not my job to pay taxes to take care of you or your kid. So let's remove that completely. Can you imagine how many people that would piss off? You know? But it's okay for them to destroy a life. If you look at the shooter, the mother was a drug addict and he was living with his grandmother, and his grandfather Was walking away, I seen a video on, and the news services were asking him questions. And what ended up happening was he said, look, I leave in the morning, I go to work, I come home. It's what I do every day. He basically just said, I have nothing to do with this kid. Even though he's my grandson, I have nothing to do with it. So something happened with the mother, something happened with the grandmother, and the grandmother took over so the mother don't lose her kid. That's what I'm gathering. But at the same time, he shot the grandmother. So what does that tell you? He didn't like that grandmother for some reason. If all she was the heavy, and she was the one disciplining, and there was no positive reinforcement where they go camping, where they learn to use tools, they do other things, then he's going to go the other way. There is a balance when raising a kid. You'll notice a personality change in your child. If all of a sudden your child seems fine, he's go lucky, you go camping, he's talking, he's jabbering like any other normal kid, all of a sudden he gets to be 14, 15, 16, and all of a sudden he's not home that often. He has shortness of temper with the other siblings. He's barking at his mother, or maybe he's barking at you. There's something going on. These are signs that something's going on. He's either an alcoholic, he's either a drug addict, there's something going on where abuse of some type of narcotics is going on in his life. And that's the sad part. The root of the problem is the person that does the shooting. The root of the problem from him is who came in touch with him in his life. So school became in touch with him. Do we have enough teachers, enough counselors? Do we have enough people associating with kids to identify a situation that could come up? We don't. We want to scream, no bullying. We want to scream, no. Let's all give them ribbons. They don't even have to learn what disappointment is. They don't have to learn anything. We want to make their lives all roses. They don't learn how to be disappointed. And that's really, really sad on what we're doing. We need more teachers. We need more counselors. We need more people, more adults involved in their lives while they're in school. If they're sitting on a bench crying, or they're off in a bathroom by themselves, or we need to pay attention to the details. What is happening to that individual? Are they being bullied to the point they can't take it anymore? He apparently was a cross-dresser. Did this create more bullyingness? I don't believe it would, especially in today's schools. Everybody else is very forgiving on what people do anymore, from what I've seen. It's not like it was 20, 30 years ago. So I believed he ended up with a lot of negativeness in his life. I believe he did get bullied, but I don't believe that should drive a person to shoot. Now think about this. If he's going to bully a bunch of people, you think he would have went to the school and shot the people that bullied him, not a bunch of young kids. He really had a lot of hate in his heart, and he was lashing out hard. He wanted to die. He probably was on the verge of suicide, but he figured, I'll go out with a bang. There was one situation I read where he was taking a knife and cutting his face, and his friend said, what are you, nuts? And he said it looks cool, which was a lie. He was crying out at that time. His grandmother didn't notice those cuts. The teachers didn't notice those cuts. There's a lot about this particular shooting they're not telling us. And they don't want to tell you. Instead, they want to keep certain things hid, blame it on Republicans, do universal gun rights. I don't know. It's looking funny. It really is. But from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of things messed up here. And when you dig deep into these shooters, everybody just wants to claim and say mental. I dig deeper. I'm like, when I look at a situation, I'm like looking, okay, could I have gotten out of that situation like I was thinking about with the Buffalo shooter, and how would I protect myself? And I look at their personalities. What did they go through? What drove them to doing that? I've learned one thing. When they're that young, they are very impressionable. It seems like maybe from the ages 13 and on to 18 is when their minds can be programmed. And whether it's a lot of negativity through hate, whether it's racist, whether it's whatever, cults, take your pick, then obviously there are things happening with these kids. Now, you go back and you take a look at Amish people, they raise their kids as kind of like a cult, and if they go to leave, they can't come back. And they know that. So they'll lose their mother, their father, their grandmother. I mean, is that wrong? They literally have to not have no family and be on their own as if their family's dead. All because of religion. I mean, there are so many messed up things going on that it stems from how the child themselves is being raised. And we believe if we make universal gun rights, that's going to protect us from happening. That is not going to protect us from happening. There's just too much information out on the internet that anybody can research, and it's ridiculous. Look what happened in Nashville. We got that one guy who blew up a van with a bomb in it. I mean, if somebody gets it in their head to do something, they're going to do it. What we need to find out is what is in their head before they do it. We need to go back there and see what's going on is what we need to do. And if we don't, this is just going to continue on. You can put as many gun rights as, as many laws as you want. It's not going to change it. Take all the guns away. And you think, okay, let's take them all away. Now we're safe. Our kids are safe. Well, that's not true. I've seen, countries in Australia and different places where some guy goes crazy with a knife. And then everybody's like, yeah, but it doesn't happen that often. It's like once a year. Well, the population in USA is huge. If you're going to start comparing other countries to USA, then you have to compare apples to apples. Their populations are not the same as USA. Canada's population is not the same as us. Not even close. And don't believe for a second gun laws are going to protect you. And I wish there was a magic bullet I could just snap my fingers and we're all safe. But that ain't going to happen. We have to diagnose the problem before it happens. And the problem is these kids are in bad homes. They're being raised by bad parents. And they're not being caught quick enough to solve that problem. If we're not going to make them have a license to have a kid, then we need to put more counselors in the school, more teachers. We need to set up 2 or 3 barriers in the schools, like you enter the front door, you're in a room by yourself, they push a button for you to come in, or you're in that room and it's all bulletproof glass, you're not getting in. Doors themselves can be locked, shut down with a mechanism in seconds, and that entire classroom becomes Fort Knox. Teachers need to carry guns. When you say gun-free zone, you just opened it up for target practice. That's what you did. I don't understand what brainiac can't get that. That's like putting on a sign there saying gun-free zone and saying come shoot us. Stupidest thing I ever seen. You don't see the president got a sign in front of his White House there saying gun-free zone, do you? No, he's got his bodyguards and they're all carrying guns. Right? You walk into a courthouse, there's guys standing there with guns. They got a metal detector when you go in. We're protecting those judges, aren't we? Why are we not protecting our kids? That judge is more important than your kid? You guys, whoever you are, you Karens, you're all screaming for the wrong damn thing. Scream to put a metal detector in front of your school. Scream to put that room as a lockdown. Scream to lock those doors. They say if you don't you got officers or people in the school, it doesn't do a whole lot. In some situations, it may not. Put 4 guards in that school walking around, but just don't make them guards with a gun. Make them have a counseling degree or make them have something else in the way of to touch base with these kids. One counselor can't do it. It's too many kids. So this way we can see the signs ahead of time. Like this shooter was cutting his face. Nobody noticed that. The counselor didn't. The teachers didn't. The grandma didn't. Nobody noticed any of this. This kid was cutting his face. Like, there's a lot of things they're not telling you. When they release a story, they release the most negative thing they can, but they don't give you the information. And that really pisses me off. I want to know why. What was that kid into? What did his Facebook say? What did his Twitter say? What did other kids have to say about him? I don't want to hear some news story, oh, 12 people or 22 people are dead, and make it sound like the worst case scenario. Why did that happen? And could we have prevented it? And I don't mean prevent it with some stupid law. Laws don't do nothing. If it did, I wouldn't see kids smoking dope on their front lawns or smoking crack, or raping people. I mean, the laws don't do anything. Okay? Preventing it from happening before it happens does. Now, a lot of people, we do with our law system in the U.S. is we give very severe penalties. We'll put people in jail for 20 years. Is that working? I don't think we're looking at the root of the problem. I mean, look at Chicago. How many shootings do you get in Chicago every day? They don't even put that on the news because it happens so often. How many kids get killed because they're in gangs? We don't even address that. Yet, we're going to run over and send Ukraine a whole bunch of money. We're worried about Ukraine. Biden will never watch this video, but hey, whatever president happens to see this video, pay attention to your own fucking country and pay attention to what's happening to our kids and what's going on so we can actually fix the problem at the root, not by making more laws. More laws is just not going to make it happen. Anyhow, that's my take. I'll catch you guys on the next one.